right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to crack open the history books to find a secret code, and you're not going to believe where it's hidden, in a simple list of medieval kings. It's a fantastic historical mystery that links ancient rulers to one of the most famous books in the entire world.
So, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like the setup to a really weird joke, right? What could a list of Norwegian kings from like 1,000 years ago possibly have to do with the Holy Scripture? Well, the answer is a number, a very specific number. And it suggests that history, the way it was written, might be way more structured than we ever imagined.
Okay, so let's start piecing this whole thing together. We'll call this section a royal puzzle, because that's exactly what it is. Our story starts in medieval Norway, with this incredibly long line of kings stretching back more than 1,000 years. So if you just glance at the list of Norwegian kings, it seems like, well, a total mess. It's just this chaotic jumble of names: Harald, Håkon, Olaf, Magnus, one after the other, for centuries. It's dense, it's complicated, and honestly, it feels completely random. But is it really? This is where it gets really good. Let's talk about the seven-king pattern and how we can find some order in all that chaos. Because hidden inside that messy list of names, something starts to emerge. A deliberate, almost mathematical pattern. The key to the whole thing, that thing that unlocks this code, is a massive turning point in Norway's history, the moment Christianity arrives. See, the pattern doesn't even apply to the first 6 pagan kings. Nope. It kicks off with Olav I, the very first Christian monarch. So this isn't just about a change in religion, it's the beginning of the code itself. Okay, so here's how this wild pattern works. After Olav I, Norwegian history seems to be organized into these neat little blocks of 7 kings. You get 4 of these blocks in a row. And here's the rule. In each block, the first king and the 7th king have the exact same name. Now, it's not a perfect streak. The whole system gets interrupted by a few little irregularities and even a massive civil war. But what's absolutely incredible is that after all that chaos, the pattern just snaps right back into place with one last perfect 7-king block. And these interruptions are actually part of what makes this so convincing. At one point, you get this irregularity, this little hiccup, where the names Magnus and Olaf get doubled up, and it breaks the clean sequence. And then a full-blown civil war from 1204 to 1217 just throws everything into disarray. But the fact that the pattern comes back after all that, well, that shows you just how deliberate it must have been in the first place. But here's where a little historical oddity becomes a full-blown international mystery. This hidden structure, this well-structured history, it turns out it wasn't just some strange Norwegian thing. It starts popping up all over the map. I mean, this is just incredible. It turns out that 4 other kingdoms, we're talking Poland, Hungary, Denmark, and Scotland, they all show a really similar structured list of their rulers during the exact same medieval period. So this isn't some local code, it's a pattern that stretches all across Northern and Eastern Europe. And this is where it all clicks. There's a magic number. When you count up the well-structured kings in each of these Christian kingdoms, skipping the ones who ruled during those messy, irregular periods, you always get the same number, 27. It's 27 in Hungary, 27 in Denmark, 27 in Scotland. And if you account for the eruptions, 27 in Poland and Norway too. That is way too consistent to be a coincidence. No way. So, the big question is, why? Why on earth would medieval historians in 5 different countries all decide to structure their histories around the number 27? Well, the answer is pretty fascinating, and it lies in something called Christian numerology. Back in the medieval Christian world, numbers were never just numbers. They were packed with symbolic power. And the number 27? Oh, it was a true powerhouse. Because it's 3 times 3 times 3, it was seen as the ultimate symbol of the Holy Trinity. It basically stood for divine perfection, complete order, the whole shebang. So where else in the Christian world is the sacred number 27 a huge deal? The New Testament. The canon is made up of exactly 27 books, and theologians believed that number signified a complete, perfect, divine message. The parallel here is just stunning, isn't it? A list of 27 kings creates a perfect, complete historical era, just like 27 books create a perfect and complete spiritual text. The implication here is just profound. It suggests that these medieval historians weren't just writing down events as they happened. No, they may have been actively shaping their stories, organizing the reigns of their kings to tell a much deeper tale, one of divine order and purpose, designed to perfectly mirror the structure of the Bible itself. So, what does this all mean for how we look at the past? Let's consider this final thought. Was there a hidden code in history? It kind of suggests that some histories weren't just written to be read, but maybe to be decoded. The fact that this really complex pattern shows up across so many different independent kingdoms, it points to what one source calls a common signature. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't an isolated habit. It really suggests a shared intellectual and spiritual project, a way of seeing God's divine plan written into the very succession of kings on earth. And that leaves us with one final, just tantalizing question. I mean, if medieval historians could embed a code this complex across half a continent and hide it in plain sight for centuries, what else have we missed? How many other secret messages and hidden patterns are just lying there, dormant, in our history books, waiting for us to find the key?